Alright, we are playing the modified version of the Game of Life. Now that everybody has all their pieces, we make a character sheet. We add either our real name or a fictional name. And then we're not going to spend too much time on this, but you're supposed to put in a character biography. It could just be like a few sentences for now, just something off the top of your head. And I'd say it's up to the player whether or not they want to share their bio, but I mean, why not, you know? And then you put a gender, either your real gender or a different gender, and your sexuality, either real or fictitious. Here's the most important part: you have to now pick a class.
In terms of?
Like middle class? Or like...
No. Now, the biggest reason that I added the character sheet is because I figured this would give a combination of a little bit of fantasy element to an aesthetic of fantasy and an aesthetic of expression.
So what are the classes we can choose from?
Alright, now the classes you can choose from are newbie, which is default.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty much most of the Game of Life setup rules where you start with $200,000, and you either have the choice of going through the career path or the career path or the school path. And the newbie has a sway level of 0. I'll explain that in a minute. And for every loan the newbie takes, they only have to pay the bank $20,000 back as opposed to the default of $60,000. And instead of decreasing from their final score the amount of careers they end up having, which you have to keep track of, it'll add to their score. That's another one of the new rules, is that depending on how many careers you've had in total, when you reach retirement, your score is affected.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the withdrawal interest and deposit interest, which I'll explain later. And the newbie class, it's the regular rules of the game mostly, so that's 0. And action cards pay out 50% more money. Now, normally I wouldn't trust you guys to use your phones as calculators, but you can just go ahead and do that since that's the easiest option. We're mostly just demonstrating it.
You'll be good.
Now, and then they have the undergraduate. I won't go into every little thing that they do because there's a special stat that says all the perks that they basically have, or drawbacks. The undergraduate has to go down the college path, and they have the ability to choose their career when they graduate, like in the normal game. They have a rating of a sway level of 2. They start with 100,000. Both their WI and DI are 10%, and career cards pay out 30% more on payday. So just go ahead and scroll through this a little bit and go ahead and pick one. We have
PhD,
newbie, undergrad,
midlife, mastermind, career.
Oh no, that was the last class.
Mastermind.
I'll pick newbie.
Yeah, do you want to just all do newbie so it's easy?
I'm gonna go ahead and pick a class myself.
Alright.
I'm gonna go with PhD.
Yeah, I'll do newbie. I don't care. I'll make it easy.
Now the mastermind is one of those high risk, high reward things where they have the highest WI, but they also have the highest DI.
Mm-hmm.
And they're probably the sneakiest of the players. And if they land on that risky stop they have no choice but to go through it. And they get an additional spin if they land on spin to win before actually playing the spin to win minigame. All right, and then we have the stats section.
Okay.
List out how much money you start with depending on your class. Since you guys are newbies, you start with 200,000, and then the PhD. So I start with 350,000.
Ooh, look at me! I have PhD.
100,000.
Nah, wait.
And just in case, you can always just look back at this because most of the normal rules do apply.
Oh, perfect.
What?
Thank you.
How much money do you get?
If you're a newbie, since it's the
No,
default
you,
rules, I start with 350,000. You guys start with 200K.
Gotcha.
100.
Shifu.
Now that's your money stat. Your sway stat is how much you can quote unquote tip the scales. When you spin, your sway stat determines the final number of the spin. It's the number of the spin plus your sway stat. So if you have a sway
Can
of
you
1,
do plus or minus?
no, it's plus 1. If you have a sway of 1,
Oh, okay.
you can only affect your own turn. You
So
can't
what's-
affect your opponent's.
For newbie, the sway is what?
0 because it's the
0.
default rules.
Alright, that's fine.
My sway level is, as a PhD, I have a sway level of 3. And again, the mastermind also has the highest sway level.
Kind of unbalanced.
Well, look at the, there's a big trade-off.
Oh, okay.
You have to land on the risky path, and that has a lot of chance of losing a lot of money.
And
you may have the biggest withdrawal interest, which I'll explain in a sec, but you also have the biggest deposit interest. It's kind of like high attack but low
Do
defense.
you want to explain that stuff when we get there?
No, I'm actually about to. So after your sway stat, you have your withdrawal interest and your deposit interest. Your deposit interest is how much more you receive from parts of the game that pay you, like Payday or the action cards.
Mm-hmm.
In addition to whatever perks you might have in your class.
Mm-hmm.
And then your withdrawal interest is how much more money you pay if you have to make a payment yourself.
So what's ours?
You guys are newbies, so yours are both 0. Your WI and your DI.
I actually like this. This is really nice.
And
Quality.
as a PhD, my withdrawal is 30%, but my deposit is 15%.
Cool, so I don't need my calculator.
Sweet.
Why? Can you do that stuff in your head?
Well, no, I'm saying, like, if my withdrawal interest is 0, my deposit interest is 0.
And some of the classes a lot of them are sort of based on the stops in this game. They're like 1 or 2 of them. Like for example, the blue collar has no withdrawal has just a deposit interest, which means they have to pay more and they don't get anything back, and they have the lowest sway. But they start with 200,000, and they have to go down the career path. But if they land on the family stop, they automatically get 500,000.
Cool.
And there's also.
So is that...
And then special is pretty much any special perks that you have based on your class, and then vacations and careers is the stuff already in the game where you count how many vacation cards you have and how many careers you've had.
Okay.
Hey, what did you guys write down for your bios?
I would rather keep mine to myself.
I wanted money. I went to school. Now I need a job.
Smart.
I am playing the online personality of Joe Nation,
What?
a YouTuber. He works on the Philip DeFranco channel. He films people. He is short, potentially Italian.
What the hell does potentially Italian mean?
Because he says he's Italian, but no, everyone on the channel questions it, and then he cooks a lot on the channel.
What's the rule for who goes first? Is it
Oh,
youngest,
in the game,
oldest?
actually, it is the youngest,
Ha!
and then it's from right to left,
Ha!
which I guess from your perspective means I go last, which I don't mind because I have to explain a lot of
Can I
shit
go?
anyways.
Can I go yet? Can I go?
Just real quick, I gotta write down my perks. I'm gonna try and print out some actual sheets.
So for newbie, action cards pay out 50% more.
Yeah, and then
I'm gonna write that.
and then amount of careers you have adds to your score as opposed to detracting from it. And then you only have to pay back the bank 20,000 as opposed to 60 for every loan that you take out.
Which I write down.
And the amount of careers will add to our final score.
As opposed to decreasing.
I'll just copy yours. I'm coming down on the kids. You're not doing
Just
this fine.
gonna be down because I want it all.
Why does that sound so familiar?
Jeremy,
Mr.
it's
Brightside?
Mr. Brightside.
Oh, yeah. Okay, now that you said that, it's just because you weren't singing it. That's why I couldn't tell.
Coming out of my cage, you're not doing just fine. And he kind of doesn't sing. He just kind of yells one. That's
Yeah,
all.
so you guys are affected by the normal career stuff on the cards, but my class can't pick a new career.
Cool.
At all.
Get wrecked.
So, let's start.
There we go. All right, now we're ready to start.
Two. payday already.
Payday. I didn't get a career yet. Do I just grab one?
You were supposed to do that. Actually, you were supposed to do that at the very beginning.
Yeah,
Pick
so-
2 career cards, and then pick from those 2.
Gotcha.
Ooh, athlete or
Oh,
race
thank you.
car
Which
driver.
I have to do that too, actually.
I'll do race car driver.
I think it makes more sense to pick from the college careers, though, since I'm PhD.
Yeah, I'm a race car driver and I make 60K.
Scientist.
I am
What are
gonna
you?
be.
And wouldn't you know it, there actually are some bonus elements in these cards,
What
like
are you?
A police officer
How much do you make?
for 50K.
Haha, I
Um,
make more as a race car driver.
oh, and there's actually another mechanic in the actual game that's where if someone spins a certain number, you get paid a certain amount of money. Apparently, I didn't.
Yeah.
Hang on, I
didn't
just got
notice.
on payday and I need 60K. Thanks.
What up with this?
You have to lay it. Oh, that mean the one you didn't take?
Yeah.
It's back on the pile.
Oh, so put that in the bottom, please, when you can.
Oh, I got you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, coming out of the pit, I can do it just fine. Well,
Sorry. Okay, so Jose, it's your turn. Oh, I'm sorry, Joe Nation.
thank you. Alright. 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
So you get an action card.
Give me that action card.
Remember, you gotta calculate your total payout since you got the stat.
Buy a priceless painting. Tell everyone what it looks like. Pay the bank 50,000. Sweet.
So, here. I'll be the bank since I'm closest to it.
Keep this card to get 100K at the end of the game.
Yeah, that's part of the normal game. You count out a total amount of cards.
Sweet.
There goes your money, though.
Hey, I got money at the end of the game, sweetheart.
Yeah, but...
I've been doing
Your turn.
just fine.
Okay.
Oh shoot! Oh shoot! Whenever someone hits spins 4, you have to pay me 20,000.
Really?
Yeah.
Hang on, I
did
got it.
4 because.
Oh,
it's
whenever
in the middle.
someone spins
That's in
two.
the normal game. Now, because I have a deposit interest of 15, so I have to calculate that.
Here, I got you.
All right.
Do you know how to calculate this already?
Times 0.15.
Well, actually, 1.15. If I want the total, then I gotta pay him. How much do I have to pay him normally?
20K.
Okay, now because I have normally it's 20K, so that's times 1.15. I gotta pay you at 23,000, which means someone's gonna have to take change. Oh, and which one of you is gonna be the banker? I forgot about that. All right, you're the banker.
I'm a hardcore race car driver banker.
So here, go ahead and get change for a 50.
20 and give
350.
Yeah, I made that joke earlier. Huh. This is kind of racist. Let's stop doing this, Jim.
1, 2.
Oh, thank you. I'll just leave it here for reference.
Yeah, I'm at the
You're
cut.
gonna have to round. So here's 50. What was yours? You said 20 something?
3. He said 23.
Just give him 20,000 and get 30,000 back. Because there's nothing smaller than...
Yeah,
Hmm.
that's how it has to be.
All right, gonna have to estimate it then to like the nearest number. So actually, go ahead and give me 20. What's 50? What's 50,000 minus 23? I mean minus 23,000.
No, Jeremy, I'm saying I don't have... It's the lowest is 10,000.
I know. What's 50 minus 23?
27.
All right, then give me 30,000 because that's.
That's
I'm
what
gonna
she's
round-
I just
doing.
did
All
that,
right,
bro.
round it. I didn't hear you. Sorry.
Lord.
I gotta focus on explaining this for the sake of the video.
Go.
You good?
So, move 4.
Plus, he's right next to me. Oh no, he's right under
Behind
me.
you.
Oops.
You got 5.
Your hard work paid off. Spin again.
Wow.
Collect 10K times your spin from the bank,
Damn, son, really?
and take another turn.
Jesus.
How much was that?
70,000.
So 2 with 5. And
Wait, hang on a sec. Stat. I have a WI. So times that by 1.3.
So what is it? 70
70 times 1.13.
times 1.
And then we'll just round.
79,000.
So
So
80,000.
80,000.
Okay.
Oh, and yeah, remember, always keep all the action cards and
And
shit.
then moves. I'll move it for you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Damn, son. he's
A
making
payday,
money.
Ken.
Yeah.
Hang on. Oh, my card. It's 100K, which times 1.3, I believe, is 103K. So let's just do. What's the smallest bill? You might just have to
10.
pay me.
It's
All right, just pay me one.
100,000
again?
and then what?
It's 110,000.
Times 1.
If you round it, I did it. I multiplied it. So it's 110. See?
Okay, yeah.
This was 110. Yeah.
Okay. Maybe.
Thanks. Gonna have to remember.
Thanks,
the
I'm
rest
rich.
of that.
Look it up in the world.
Hey, I'm a scientist, so it makes sense I get a lot of money because I work for the government. I think.
Paint a beautiful masterpiece. Spin to see what it's worth.